Sound vibration speaks to our souls, it speaks to our bodies, it bypasses the cognitive mind, and when that happens, a door opens, and people can go through that door and discover miracles and mysteries in themselves that they never imagined. So after my undergraduate degree, I went to California to study something called whole brain learning, which is a method for using music, sound, and frequency to open up latent potentials of the brain. And so I had this body of knowledge about sound and how it could affect altered states of consciousness and psychological counseling and different psychological states. And the challenge for me was to bring those two together. And I discovered a work of Lazanov of Bulgaria, the Lazanov Institute. And he was documenting how music could increase alpha activity, which is a precursor to the lower brain activity of theta. And this is the range of hypnotic states of consciousness. So as a therapist, I was fascinated, and also being a musician. And there was a study done with premature babies, and Brahms' Lullaby was played to a control group. And Brahms' Lullaby was not played to another group. And what happened with the Brahms babies was that they were released from the hospital on average of a week earlier, had fewer complications, and thrived better than the other babies. And what it turns out to be is that the structure of the music of Brahms, these particular pieces, soothed the nervous system, increased alpha activity, and again, when you have an increase of alpha activity, there's a decrease of blood pressure, heart rate, respiration, stress hormones. And the sound, the music, the structure, the architecture, the timbre, the sound quality of the instruments, the rhythm, very importantly, and the melody soothed the brain and created this increase of alpha response. So the babies were having an opportunity for self-healing, and that's really what was occurring. So I formed acoustic brain research in 1983 to scientifically look at how music and sound affect the brain. And this was a loose collection of researchers all over the country, universities, independent labs, looking at sound patterns that I would compose and look at how it would affect the brain, mostly through EEG studies. So I started writing music for my clients to accelerate therapy and to reach deeper states of consciousness.
Most of us have one part of the brain that's more dominant than the other in terms of filtering experience. And for some people, that's the left. And that's the logical, sequential side. Then the other side of the brain, the right hemisphere, is spatial intelligence. It's actually very happy with paradox, and it's comfortable where two things that are opposite exist simultaneously. The left brain can't stand that. And the brain research shows that when you are experiencing pure sound without language, the right side of the brain lights up like a Christmas tree. And all types of phenomena occur in the right hemisphere that do not occur over here in the left hemisphere.
So let's start with a sound meditation to bring us all to the same space. When your mind wanders, simply bring it back. Namaste. The ability to go into a mystical state of consciousness or receptive creative state of consciousness is a brain skill. It's like typing, learning to ride a bike. Anybody can learn it. Every human being has a capacity, and every human being who has a voice has the capacity to use that voice to heal themselves and another person. Not even in something external like sound healing, but in how we speak to each other, the words we choose, the tonality that we choose. And we're creating the world by how we speak to each other. And then I had an encounter that was totally unexpected and out of the blue and uninvited with a group of beings called the Hators. I'd worked in brain research for about 13 years before I encountered the Hators. So I had some understanding of how sound and music affect the brain. That was my focus. And I thought some idea of what reality was and altered states of consciousness. That's the field that I worked in. And so then these beings showed up in a meditation retreat. I was doing a Siddhas yoga retreat, silent, by myself, nobody else around. And so they said they came from another universe. And so my mind was like, this is insanity. So I was having these psychic experiences with the Hathors and hearing psychic communications. I see them as a mental impression. One is observing, and there's one that speaks. And he says, we are the Hathors, and we come with love and the sounding of a new reality for your earth. Okay. Now, where are you from? We're from Venus. Great. Just fucking great. I'm talking to an imaginary beings who are from Venus. So I was convinced that this was a delusion. I was a practicing psychotherapist in North Carolina. I had PhD supervisors, and I had my niche. And so then I had to think of them, okay, they're archetypes. I went to my Jungian training. They're simply archetypes. So they're not real. They claim they're real, but they're not really real. You know, they're aspects of the mind. Creative, resourceful, yes, but not real. Thank you. I've got them in a box. I'm comfortable with it. So nobody knew about this part of my life. So I never peeped a word. And then they said, we'd like you to write a book. I said, yeah, right. I'm going to put my hard-earned credentials, my sacred letters that go after my name, on a book about weirdos from another universe that live on Venus and came through Sirius to come in and help balance this universe for this time. Yeah, right. And they gave me some information about geometry in the brain. Information that I didn't know, but I recognized as significant because they were talking about the brain and the geometry of consciousness and the relationship to sound and emotion. And I found all this stuff very intriguing and said if I taught this to some people, I would observe rapid change, improvement in brain function and creativity. And I did 3 beta test sites, and by God, that's exactly what happened. It was amazing. So I had to acknowledge this information, although I couldn't buy that it came from who they said they were, because it was too outside the box for me. But the information is valid. And then I was in California doing a workshop with the Hathors, and they were starting to tone. They were having me tone, and they would bring these sounds through. And that's what really opened up the sound work as it is now. I become like a tuning fork to the information that is coming to me. In shamanism, they call it being the hollow reed. So what I do is to step out of the way. And in terms of brain frequencies, I would say I go into an alpha state. And in that state of alpha, I can attend to what I need to do vocally, but for that moment, I surrender my voice to the energy. When I started working shamanically with drums, then the whole shamanic world opened up. And the animal spirits can come through my voice, and shamans, and beings from other traditions. Sometimes I'll just look over here and I'll see 12, 13 shamans, all with their drums. Or there'll be 108 lamas when I'm in the Tibetan tradition. I feel like sometimes I'm like a doorway. I just open the door, or I'm a chauffeur and I look in the back seat to see who I'm driving at the moment.
What do you say to people, or maybe you don't say to people that think this is just nuts, and you must...
I agree with them. And I live in two diametrically opposed worlds.
Yeah.
I think of myself as a brain researcher and musician. I'm logical in how I look at things. So, I'm fascinated with neurology and what goes on in the brain, and there's this other side that is, well, I call it off the charts into woo-woo land. And so, for me, a lot of this stuff is nuts. I never know when the whales are going to show up. But as I was doing the pure tones, I could see them approaching, psychically approaching, and they're humpbacks. And so all of a sudden, for me psychically, obviously I'm in my right hemisphere, an increase of activity. This is not normal consciousness. I'm in an altered state, but I see the whales coming, and then one of them enters my energy field, and I become very large. I become, for me, subjectively as large as a whale, which is very interesting, because I'm also aware of my physical body at the same time. So here I am doing the little bowl, and me as Tom, and there's this huge giant whale, with flippers here on the stage. And I mean, that's literally, I have those two dual realities, and then the whale sounds come through me. I'm actually a neo-pagan, Taoist, Tibetan Buddhist, agnostic, quantum physicist, mystic, all rolled into some strange amalgam. When I turned 40, I was in an intellectual wrestling match with the Hators, and they had essentially taken my view of reality and expanded it so far I was pissed. And I was not comfortable with what they said the nature of reality was, and so I was challenging them. And on the morning of my 40th birthday, they said to me, today is a very important day. We're going to take you through a major initiation. And I said, well, you're going to have to take me to the mat. I'm not going to participate with you. I'm not going to do anything to allow you access. I'm not going to even enter my inner domain. I'm not even going to freaking meditate this morning. And I didn't for the first time since I was 18. And so I went to this park late afternoon to watch the sunset as kind of my birthday celebration. And I was just killing time watching the sunset at Madrona Point. And all of a sudden, I heard this voice said, now it is time. And a hole opened up underneath me. And I started to fall into the earth. And it was so vivid, I grabbed the ground and the grass. But a part of me was falling down into this tunnel, down into the earth. And as I fell through, the first one I encountered was an Aborigine with a fire stick twirling it around like a circle, and I could hear the flames going. And he looked at me with these dark black eyes and said,
I have something to ask you when you return.
And I said, return from what? And so I fall further down into this tunnel, and after some period of time, I encountered something that totally violated my belief system, which were the rock people. And these rocks were speaking to me. They were like crystalline structures, and they said,
we have something to ask you when you return.
And I said, where am I going? They said,
you'll find out.
And pull further down. And then I enter in what seems to be the center of the earth, and there's this luminous egg-shaped form. And as I encounter it, it says to me, I am the Earth Dreamer. There were two more of us, but they have gone on to sing new worlds into existence. I'm about to change my dream, and your Earth as you know it is about to change. Will you sing the song of the new Earth? And I said, well, I'm not sure. And as soon as I said that, poof, I was like teleported, pulled up out of the tunnel, back from by the rock people, and they said,
will you sing the song of the new earth? Will you sing the song of the new earth? Will you sing the song of the new earth? Will you sing the song of the new earth? Will you sing the song of the new earth?
And I said, I don't know. And then I'm with the Aborigine, and the fire stick is twirling, and the sound is still in my mind.
Are you willing to sing the song of the new earth?
And I said, I'm not sure. I'm back on the surface, and I come to, and I'm holding the grass with my hands. And so I say to the Hators, you're going to have to do something that I can experience with my physical senses. Otherwise, I'm just going to think this is like a stress reaction and I'm losing my mind. And they said, no problem. And right then, this little golf ball-shaped ball of light started spinning above the ground, about maybe 2 or 3 inches above the ground, and I was seeing it with my physical eyes. It was clear it was not coming from a mental impression. But with my physical eyes, I was seeing this ball of light spinning, and I was looking at that, and then I heard a rustle behind me, and this sound that I'd never heard before. It was a cross between like a whale and a bird. And I looked, and I could see the bush moving, but I couldn't see what it was. But I could hear the sound physically, again, with my physical senses. And I got totally spooked and said, okay, that's good enough. Totally freaked me out. And so I said, so what exactly does it mean to sing the song of the new earth? And they said, well, it will mean that you will go around the earth many times, singing sound patterns that come to you from the earth and from us to give to the earth. The work with groups is a type of sound healing, and it is working collectively with the energy of a large gathering. Each person will respond to the sounds in ways that are unique to them.
I'm from Amarillo, Texas. I've worked in oil fields, I've been a truck driver, I've been a farmer, maintenance department in a hospital for 20 years. For most of my life, I was in turmoil. He's opened doors I never even imagined.
For me, because I was trained in a very scientific left-brain way, I didn't have people who I could talk to about these things. As soon as I discovered this and came in and met these beautiful people and realized that I can actually go into this place within me, and that's where all the answers are.
It was all bull for me. Faraway stuff. Total nonsense. I totally negated all this. And why could I do that? I had no idea of what it was. And then it happened that I sort of stumbled into these things, and in a way it's like my earth went from flat to round.
I think sound is the future of information. Sound opens consciousness. If consciousness is higher, the planet will change.
Many people are having a spiritual emergence, and it's happening to housewives and generals and doctors and all walks of life. People are having, suddenly they sense things that they never sensed before, experiences of other beings, other realms, and they don't know what to do with it. We don't, as a culture, have a place to put that. It's just like in the box of crazy. Well, this is not crazy. It's one aspect of consciousness, and if we look at it with objectivity, we can actually extract things that are of value. And then we change how we live in the world. And I believe that we're in a place as a global consciousness, as humanity, that we are not going to survive much longer as a species if we don't change how we are living our life. And that's what my work is about. So we are